Let me guess. You finally hit that financial milestone you've been chasing for years? Maybe it's your first $100,000. Maybe it's paying off that crushing debt. Or maybe you just had your highest income month ever. You did the work. You tracked the spending. You said no to the nights out. You made the sacrifices other people weren't willing to make. You expected this moment to feel like victory. You expected relief. You expected to finally exhale. But instead you feel stuck. Maybe even a little panicked. You're checking your accounts 3 times a day. You feel guilty spending money even though you have it. Or worse, you feel a strange urge to blow it all, just to get back to a number that feels familiar. If that sounds familiar, this video is going to feel a little too accurate. My name is Brian, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people do everything right with money and still feel miserable. Or worse, self-sabotage, right when they start winning. Here's the thing. Most financial advice is just math. Spend less than you earn, invest the difference, wait 20 years. Simple, right? But if it were just math, you wouldn't be stressed right now. You'd be celebrating. Today we were talking about the invisible mental barriers, the psychological tripwires that stop you from building wealth right after UVA had your first taste of success. We're going to break down why your brain is actively fighting your bank account and exactly how to fix it so you can actually enjoy the wealth you're building. This is where it gets really interesting. Behavioral finance explains this perfectly with a concept often called the financial thermostat. Imagine your house is set to 70 degrees. If it gets cold outside and the temperature drops to 60, the heater kicks on. It works hard to get you back to 70. That's a good thing. That's survival. But here's what most people don't realize. The mechanism works both ways. It gets hot outside if things get too good. The AC kicks on to cool things down. Your subconscious mind has a wealth setting that it considers normal and safe. For a lot of us, safe feels like the grind. Safe feels like just barely getting by or having just enough to cover bills. So when you finally break through and you save that first $20,000 or hit that $100,000 net worth, your subconscious alarm bells go off. You have exceeded your thermostat setting, uncharted territory. And your brain, trying to protect you, tries to bring you back to your baseline. This is why you might see someone win the lottery and go broke in 3 years. But it's also why you might suddenly feel an urge to buy a car you damn need, or take a risky investment that makes no sense, or just stop tracking your spending the moment your account looks healthy. You aren't bad with money. You're just fighting a thermostat that is set too low. The mistake people make is thinking they need more discipline. But you don't need more discipline to fight the thermostat. You need to reset the temperature. Yes. You have to normalize the new number. This leads us to the second barrier, something I call the scarcity hangover. Let me guess. To get to where you are now, you had to be strict. You had to say no 1,000 times. You had to treat every dollar like it was the last soldier in your army. That mindset that hypervigilance is an incredible tool for getting out of a hole. It's great for survival. But here's the problem. The tools that get you out of poverty are not the same tools that build wealth. When you're building wealth, you need to switch from defense to offense. You have to invest. You have to take calculated risks. You have to spend money to buy time or efficiency. But if you have a scarcity hangover, spending money even on good things triggers a pain response in your brain. Psychologists call this the pain of pain for natural savers. Spending money literally activates the same regions in the brain as physical pain. So you sit on cash. You let inflation eat it because investing feels too risky. Or you refuse to hire help or buy the better equipment that would actually increase your income because you're terrified of the number in your bank account going down, even by a penny. You end up saving your way into stagnation. You're safe, but you're stuck. You have to realize that at a certain point, hoarding cash isn't safety anymore. It's fear dressed up as responsibility. And this is where most people quit. Not because it's hard, but because it's boring. When you first start fixing your finances, the dopamine hits are huge. You pay off a credit card, boom, dopamine. You save your first $1,000, boom, dopamine. You're fighting a tiger and you're winning. It's exciting, but then you enter the boring middle. Compounding is powerful, but it is painfully slow to watch. Going from $0 to $10,000 feels like a war. Going from $100,000 to $110,000 is just a Tuesday. The math is working, but the feeling is gone. Dopamine, the motivation chemical, craves novelty, craves surprise. A standard index fund growing at 8% a year offers zero surprise. This is why financially responsible people suddenly blow up their portfolios with speculative gambling, day trading, or impulsive business ideas. They aren't looking for returns. They're looking for a feeling. They're trying to manufacture the dopamine that their stable wealth-building plans stop providing. The mistake people make is expecting motivation to come from results instead of process. Real wealth building is about as exciting as watching paint dry. If you're looking for excitement in your portfolio, you're usually paying a premium for it. So how do we fix this? How do we stop the self-sabotage and actually let ourselves get wealthy? Here's what to do if you feel that resistance kicking in. First, update your identity. Stop telling yourself, I'm just lucky to be here, or I'm bad with money. You need to consciously prove to your brain that the new number is safe. Actually say it out loud or write it down. I am the kind of person who has $100,000. I am an investor. It sounds cheesy, but you have to recalibrate that thermostat manually. Second, automate the boring stuff. Remove your willpower from the equation. If you have to decide to save money every month, eventually you will decide not to. If you have to decide not to panic sell, eventually you will panic. To automate it so the boring middle happens in the background while you go live your life. Third, and this is crucial, prescribe fun. If you have saver's guilt, you need to budget for fun the same way you budget for rent. Give yourself permission to spend 5 or 10% of your income on whatever you want, guilt-free. This releases the pressure valve. It stops you from binging later because you aren't starving yourself of joy now. Most people don't fail financially because they make bad decisions. They fail because they lose momentum at the exact moment momentum becomes possible. They hit the ceiling of their thermostat, or they get bored of the quiet, or they feel guilty for having more than they grew up with. But here's the truth. Money is just a tool. It amplifies who you already are. If you are anxious and broke, money will just make you anxious and rich unless you do the work on your mind, too. If you read someone who saved your first milestone amount, whether that is 10,000 or 100,000 and you felt that weird dip in motivation, hit the subscribe button. We talk about the psychology of money here because the math is easy, the human part is hard. And give this video a thumbs up if it helped you understand why your brain is fighting you. Comment below, which one of these barriers are you feeling right now? Is it the thermostat, the scarcity hangover, or just the boredom of the middle? I read the comments because I want to know where you guys are stuck. I'll see you in the next one.